Welcome everyone to our BAASS Connect 2020 session with Pacifictech Procure-to-Pay presentation covering our purchasing workflow, payables workflow, and incorporating our AP automation. My name is Bill Fligg. I'm our North America Sales Manager. And with me today is Jamie Steele, who is our Business Development Manager. We'll be demonstrating how easy we make the procure-to-pay process, as well as how much control you can have from the procurement process using our purchasing workflow, all the way through to the payment process using our payables workflow, and by going paperless using our workflow documents. Some features you'll see today use our connected services called PW Web for web requisitions and approvals from browsers and mobile phones, as well as our document processing service that automates invoice entry in 5 minutes or less. A little bit about our company. Pacifictech is a global software development partner with over 20 years experience and commitment to Sage 300. With a suite of Sage 300 add-on modules, web-based connected services, mobile applications, and global private cloud hosting solutions, Pacifictech extends Sage 300 with Tier 1 capability. We develop our solutions using Sage's software development kit, otherwise known as their SDK. This means our modules have the same look and feel as the other Sage 300 components you are familiar with today, and they reside directly inside of your Sage 300 and not a third-party interface operating from outside of your accounting system. So one main benefit is all your data and attached documents all reside inside your Sage 300 database, and you do not have to install other software products on users' computers to work with Sage 300. Pacifictech Solutions takes Sage 300 to a new level of functionality and capability, including our Procure-to-Pay suite of products, including AP automation, which you'll see a quick overview shortly. We have won many awards over the years from Sage as one of their global ISVs, which we are quite proud of. If you have any questions during our presentation today, please send them through the chat to Haley, our moderator, and we'll try to cover them at the end. If we don't get to your question during this session, we will get in touch with you after to get you your answers. At this point, I'm going to hand it over to Jamie, and he'll take you through how our Procure-to-Pay solution works, and I will be back when he's done. Thanks.
All right, thanks very much for that, Bill, and hi everyone. Yeah, so we've got a few PowerPoint slides and then we'll start having a look at the software in action. So just this first slide shows the different workflows modules that we've got available for Sage 300, and the idea is just, for certain organizations want to focus on certain areas of workflows, and that's why we've got these different solutions. So on the left-hand side is the procurement workflow. So that's our module called purchasing workflow. So that's the whole requisitioning process through to creation of the PO. And we've got funds availability as part of that. So that's the real-time GL budget checking. Then the second module is payables workflow. So that's the workflow on supplier invoices. So that's the AP automation area, which is one of the sort of most areas with the most sort of activity over the last year or two. And then the third module is workflow notifications. And this is a very broad module. It provides workflows in over 20 different parts of Sage 300. And some examples is customer master files, vendor master files, general ledger account codes, IC items. So all of those master files, you can have a workflow on those. And also then some of the key transactions can be workflowed as well. So general ledger journal entries, AP payments, AR credit notes, IC adjustments. So what we're really trying to focus on is the areas where people can carry out a fraud with Sage 300 or within Sage 300. And so we're putting workflows around those areas. All right, and so this next diagram is just focusing on the AP automation side itself, and so we won't sort of go through it in too much detail, but in the green hexagon here is the Sage 300 modules, so accounts payable and purchase orders. The dark blue hexagon is our workflow modules that are sitting inside the Sage environment on the Sage desktop. And so you can just implement those as a starting point if you want to. So that's where you can put in or do a requisition, do approvals, enter an invoice that can go through an approval process, and then that gets pushed over into Sage once it's been approved. So that provides the whole paperless AP solution, and it's got a whole lot of benefits just from that area. But on the left-hand side is the connected services that we have got that add even more benefits. So the one at the top there is called DPS, which is Document Processing Service. So this is the automated data capture out of supplier invoices. And so as your suppliers send their invoices to you by email, then you can have those forwarded through to our DPS system, and that will extract the data out of the invoice and create the transaction inside Sage 300. And so that process normally takes around 3 to 4 minutes from when the invoice first comes in to when it's available inside Sage 300. And yeah, and so this technology that we're using here is quite modern technology. So it's got a lot of machine learning functionality within it. So the system can actually work out a lot of fields without the user needing to do anything. But the users should always, review what it's doing and just make sure it's got it all correct. So that's the DPS system, and then we've got our approval options. So we've got a smartphone app for doing approvals, and then we can also do approvals through a web interface, which is called PW Web. Okay, so now we'll have a look at the software in action. So what I'll do is log into PW Web. And so first of all, so our clients who use the solution put their banner at the top of the page, so it's got their logo. And so then we select our databases from the list of Sage 300 databases. And so now we come into, so you can see them, oh, that's right, as I logged in, it was checking the password to Sage 300, and then it's reading the security rights from within Sage 300. And so these menus that are shown here are all driven off the security rights set up within Sage 300. Whoops. So I'll go to new requisition. So we choose our workflow and then our department or our cost center. And then we can choose a template. So the templates just help populate fields onto the screen. So just making the process a bit easier for the user. And so we've got our airfares here. So we'll go 2 airfares at $400. And we just sort of found out this morning our support team have been doing some work on our main demo system, which has caused a bit of a hiccup. So I've just swapped over to our Australian demo system. So the GL code's normally hidden from the user. The system builds the GL code. Right, so that's our requisition. Now we can attach quotes from suppliers. So this is using the workflow documents area. So we can come and pick up a PDF there, and we can attach multiple files. All right, so this requisition is now ready to, or we're now happy that it's finished. So we now submit it into the workflow. So this is now inserting it into the Sage database. So it's, inserting it immediately into the Sage database and moving it along to the next step in the workflow and doing the emailing. So it will be emailing the next manager to let them know that they've got an approval to do. So it's requisition number 381. And we could have a look at that within our Sage environment. But what I happen to know, oh, actually, let me just show you one other part of the system. So if one of the inquiry screens is my requisitions, so a user can always come and have a look at their requisitions. There's number 381 at the bottom, so we can open that up, and a requisitioner can always see where the requisitions are sitting. So by coming to the events tab, and they can see it's with the division manager. So an email would have been sent to the division manager to say that you've got a requisition to approve. So, and also that email can have a hyperlink, so that manager can just click on that hyperlink and it'll bring them to this page. It'll populate their username, so they just need to put in their password. So they click login, and because they're an approver, it will now show them their approval console. So here is the 6 requisitions that this manager has to approve. And it shows them the header information there. They can click on the requisition and they can see the details there. They can go and look at the quotes from the suppliers. They just open up in the browser. And now another part of the system I mentioned before is funds availability. So this is the real-time GL budget checking. So by clicking on this icon here, it'll send a request back to funds availability on the Sage server to crunch the numbers. And so what that's doing is it's checking the budget for the GL accounts on that requisition. And they're not very good GL accounts because I'm using this other demo system, but I guess the principles are exactly the same. Just reading the budget from the GL, the actuals from the GL, the commitments, so any open purchase orders, and then it shows what's available to spend. So this is real-time GL budget checking. I guess another point is integrating in with project and job costing. So all of our modules are tightly integrated in with the Sage PJC module. And so if this was a job related requisition, then funds availability then does the PJC budget checking as opposed to the GL budget checking. All right, so what I can do from here is I can either approve or decline. So we just change this here to approve, and then we can put in a 60-character comment. And then we can approve some and decline some, and then we can postmark documents, and that moves them along to the next step in the workflow. So now we also have got our smartphone app, so I'll just log out of that. And Bill, I was just wondering, I think you're more familiar with the Australian demo system. I think, has it gone to the controller? If you could just check for us, that'd be much appreciated. So just while you're doing that, I'll go to our smartphone app, which is here, PT Go, or Pacifictech Go. And so this is showing this in a browser, but this is exactly what it looks like in on an Apple phone or an Android phone. Now this is connecting to the New Zealand database, so the data will be slightly different, but here shows our requisitions. So we've got 4 requisitions to approve, 2 purchase orders, 4 AP invoices, 3 PO invoices. So if we want to drill into our requisitions, then there are the requisitions, and then we can drill down to see the line information, any documents that are attached, we can open those up. We can attach new documents as well. So that's PT Go, and so yeah, that's looking at requisitions, but also supplier invoices are all available in the same interface. So I'll just so what we'll do, I believe I'm just I think this
I
transaction
did
is,
receive the notification by email off that system because you're working with a different demo system. So the email did come out as a notification about the requisition. And
okay,
I'm
cool.
just logging into that system
Yeah.
just to show the
Okay.
control.
Yeah, so I've just logged in as control, who I thought it would be. So it's we'll do the second approval there. And then post that. So now because this is the final approval, Purchasing Workflow is now creating the purchase orders from that requisition within the Sage PO module, and then it is emailing those purchase orders. And we've got quite a few different options around what emailing can be done as well. So, so you can email the requisitioner, you can email the purchase orders to the requisitioner, or you can have the purchase orders emailed out directly to the vendor. All right, so that sort of, I guess, that requisition has now created the purchase orders. We can now come and do the receipts through PW Web as well. So if we come in here, it shows us all of the POs that are open, that are in cost centers that this user has got access to. And so you can see here, PO number 313 and 314 for the conference in Brisbane. So these are the two purchase orders that were just created. So we can, if we've been to that conference, we can come and do the receipt. So we'll do receive all and post, and we can also attach documents to the receiving transaction. So, any documents that we want to attach. And now that one's, because that purchase order is fully received, it's disappeared off the list. We can now come into PO314 and we can do partial receipts if we want to. So we can, the purchase order was for 3 nights accommodation. Let's say we came back early. So we can receive 2 and close out the other one, or we can receive 2 and leave the other one on back order. So you've got all of those options there. All right, so that's the receiving process that can be done through the web as well. All right, so now let's look at when the invoice comes in. So we'll go to our Sage desktop. So that now we're going to we'll swap back to our New Zealand database. So when the invoices come through the DPS system, they land in this DPS console within Sage 300. So what I'll do is I'll show you that there's 4 entries sitting here. So these are basically waiting for the AP person to process them. So what we'll do is we'll send in 3 new invoices. So here's one here. This is an AP invoice, modern. In fact, so here's the invoice number, modern 201202-001, 2nd of December, 1 notebook computer, 2 keyboards, and 2 mice. So we'll send that one into the DPS system. I did have a couple of other invoices here that would illustrate the whole 3-way matching. So where an invoice comes in that relates to a purchase order and a receipt, and how it matches and how all the variances are handled. But unfortunately, because of the hiccup with our database,
Well, we're running out of time.
Yeah, that's right, running out of time as well. Yeah,
got 5 minutes.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, so let's come back to the DPS console. So the one that we just emailed in will arrive within around about 5 minutes. But let's just look at a couple of these other ones while we're waiting for it. So this is the in tray where the invoices arrive. So what AP do is double click and open one of them up. You can see the invoice image on the right hand side, and on the left hand side is the data that DPS has extracted out of that, or derived. So it's extracted the document number. In terms of the vendor number, it determines that off the GST number. So it links over to your AP vendors. And so it does a search in this field here to find the GST number, and that's how it knows who the vendor number is. The workflow in the cost center, there's different ways these can be defaulted. The document total is down from the PDF and the date is from the PDF. And then we've got the bank account number as well. So you can match on the bank account number as well as the GST number if you want to. So here, the DPS system, it's done it 100% right. So for machine generated PDFs, it often is 100% right, but AP can still need to review it, or in our opinion, they need to review it. Some clients are happy to just trust the system pushing it straight through, but AP can change anything that they want to. So they now click process, and now it takes them to the second screen, which is the AP invoice screen, and they can edit the GL code here. They can edit any other field. It's also attached the PDF invoice there, so that saves them more work. We submit it into the workflow, and again, this is now sending it to the appropriate person. We can see it's the division manager, so we close that and we close that, and I'll just push it all through within the desktop just because we're running a bit behind time. So yeah, the invoice could be approved.
It shows that it works in the back end as well as out on the browser, depending
Yes,
on how you do it.
Yeah. So there was, oh, actually, we're just going to have a look at that. One, 2, 0. 2, 0, 1, 2, 2. Oh, right, that's the one that's just come in, right? I'm getting slightly confused. Yeah, there we go. So
You're moving pretty fast too, so it's understandable.
Yeah. That's right. Sometimes they come through quicker than. So yeah. So let's just push that one through. Oh.
It does show it's pretty easy to use, but I don't think they'll use it as quickly as you do right away.
Yeah, well,
but not hard to figure out.
Yeah, exactly. So it's gone to the division manager. So anyway, I think we're sort of probably running a little bit late, although it will be quite quick from here. So if we come back into our approval console. Yeah, there we go, right, cool. So there it is there, so the manager can open it up, they can look at the invoice image. Oh, we've also got a nice feature we've added recently called Quick Review. So as you open it up from here, it shows all the information on the screen. If the manager's happy, they just say approve yes and scroll to the next one. And then are they happy with that? You can see this is a PO one, so that's doing all the three-way matching. So if we're happy with that, and scroll to the next one. So that quick review is getting a lot of really good feedback. And then we post from there. And then it would have gone to the second approver. They can post it, then it pushes through to AP. Now, if I just hop over to the GL really quickly and just to show you how you can drill down to these images. Whoops. So we look at the transaction. So we see that account's got a large balance, so we're not sure what it's about. So we come and look at our transactions. If we're not sure about this invoice, we can drill back to the AP invoice entry screen. So you would have that with your Sage system now, but with the payables workflow, you get an extra drill. So you can now go back here. You can look at who approved it. So it shows who all the approvers were and any comments that they put in. And you can also look at the PDF. So yeah, from the GL, you can just drill down straight to the PDF, and that's all out of the box functionality. All right, we've got some other features as well, like sort of a macro that can do a reversing GL journal for all the accruals at the end of the month. We've got overdue emailers that let AP chase up all their invoices, chase up the managers who are behind with doing their approvals.
We've probably got to finish off with the last.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I guess the other thing is the whole payment AP payment approvals is another part of our solution as well. So.
Alrighty, so we're going to the your differentiators, yeah.
Yes, that's right. So just, I guess, there's some of the key points that differentiate our solution from some of the other solutions on the market. So all the data is inside Sage 300. So you don't have to sync your data between two different systems. And also the configuration is all within Sage 300. So as you can see, the core modules are sitting on the desktop. So most clients find it very easy to learn it and, you know, keep supporting it themselves once it's up and running. We've got third generation technology in the data extraction area, so it's got machine learning, so it's and it's sort of, you know, quite a lot cheaper than older technology as well. And also, yeah, we've got the AP automation side, but also the whole procure-to-pay process is all covered as part of our solution set. So those are the main differentiators.
Alrighty, so we'll go to the next slide there. So here's some of the logos. We've got companies using our solutions, including Canadian Red Cross, CWC Energy, MEC, Nova Scotia Barrister Society, Redpath Mining, Mattawa First Nations, Public Health Ontario, A&B Rail, Dumas Mining, Fort McKay First Nations, Alexco, and Trevally. So the next slide here, we're just going to show you what some of our modules are. Some of these we've already covered today, including payables workflow, purchasing workflow, and PW Web. Vendor catalogs is something you can add into all this to pick your preferred suppliers and control contract agreements. And here you've got your workflow documents, allowing you to attach quotes and things directly in Sage 300. So the next page here shows a few more modules. Yeah, there we go. One in particular called Funds Availability, which we talked about briefly. It's a purchasing workflow add-on, and it allows requisitioners to see what their cost center budgets are. The other one that's really interesting, not part of this promotion or sort of presentation today, is Audit Logger. Everybody could potentially look at Audit Logger. If you want to know who did what, kind of when, where in your Sage 300, it does it. It just keeps track of master field changes, GL transaction activity, all your Sage 300 user activity. So other than that, maybe we'll move on to the last slide here and just thank you for your time today. We really appreciate you participating in our presentation. You can contact me. My name again is Bill Fligg for more information anytime through BAASS if you like, and then they'll hook up with ourselves and we can give you a demo. And at this point, if there's any time left, we'll take some questions. I'm not sure, Haley, how are we doing?
We're cutting it tight, but we did have some questions come in, so I do want to make sure we get a chance to get those answered. One question is there any on-premise install required, or is PW Web just a cloud solution?
Yeah, so PW Web is what we call a connected service. So it's like a hybrid. So you have so a lot of the configuration is done on the desktop, and then we have a web service that is put onto the web server on the client system, and then that is our software running on our servers in Toronto connects through to that web service. So I guess a really key point, we think it's a real strength, is the data is in only one place, which is inside the Sage 300 system. It's not out in the cloud anywhere. So we're sort of providing web access, but the data's all just within the Sage 300 system. So
we're just a conduit from the browser through the system, through our server.
Another question is where are the documents saved? Is it saved in an SQL server or separate files?
Yes, in this SQL server as part of the Sage, within the Sage. It's so tables within the Sage database.
Right in their business database with all their other data.
Okay. Can this be used as document management, searching for a document based on metadata?
Not really. So it's yeah, that's also a good point. And quite often when our full presentations will sort of make this point. So we're not a full document management system. You know, so yeah, if you want searching on metadata and that sort of thing, then, you know, some other solutions are probably more appropriate. So I guess we're providing, you know, a basic level of document management, you could call it, or yeah.
Yeah, people are looking for requisitions and invoices and things, and they're looking at their transactions in the system, and then those things are all attached with our documents. So they know where they're going, that's where it is.
And the last question we have is regarding pricing. So the question is, if I already own Pacifictech purchase order workflow, the Sage module, PW Web, is that an extra cost? What is the price structure? Is it per document, one time? And then some questions about software assurance.
We have two different kinds of price structures. One is if they want to go with the complete Procure-to-Pay package, then everything, including the modules and the transactions, are all part of a monthly subscription. And then they can, based on their activity, they can move up to a different tier, but it's an all-encompassing thing, and they can transition from one package to another. Or the customer may decide, no, I don't want to do that. We've got, your modules, but we don't have all of those things in your sort of prepackaged subscription model, and we just want to pay tier transaction. And so it's tier based on that level on volume.
Awesome.
Yeah, so there's tiers for different volumes. So, the entry level's up to 200 web interactions, and that's $245 per month. So for a client who's already got purchasing workflow, then PW Web would be an additional cost, but it can be quite fairly low, but depends how as the volume increases, the tiers pricing increases.
Yeah, and a new customer would probably just buy into the whole subscription package, and it's all inclusive.
Well, thank you so much, Bill and Jamie, for presenting, and definitely big thank you to Jamie, because I know you are across the ocean from us.
Yes, that's right, but the time was not too bad, actually. It's 9:50 in the morning here, so that's pretty civilized. So so thanks very much.
We're talking to the future, and you're talking to the past.
Yes, that's the one. All right, thanks everyone.